Okay, so let's reread it one more time and focus on what the problem is telling us. To make green paint, students mix yellow paint with blue paint. The table below shows how many yellow and blue drops from a dropper several students use to make the same shade of green paint. So they are telling us to complete the table. Okay, so since they gave us a table, we're going to use that for our draw portion, and they therefore want us to complete the what is missing. So what do I know versus what is missing? So I'm just going to highlight the blank so I know I need to find seven different parts to this table. And so I see every blank, I'm going to highlight yellow versus what they have given us in the problem. Okay, so let's just start at the first row in order to see what needs to be completed. So I see that it's missing the total. So how do I find the total? Well, I know that I have mixed numbers all throughout my table. I personally don't like dealing with fractions and their operations. I like decimals. So I'm actually going to take a quick minute to convert our fractions to decimals. So if I didn't know 1/2 as a decimal, I know that I need to use division. Bottom out, top in is something that you may have heard last year. Or if you remember that 2 is our divisor, therefore it goes on the outside, and 1 is on the inside. So we know that is 0.5. So I'm going to write that as 3.5 now. Same thing with 1/4. If you know it off the top of your head, thinking about your quarters, then great. If you do not, we're going to go ahead and just show this division so that we can see where we get this number from, adding a 0. And we get 5.25. Okay, and actually I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite the others since we have that as well. So 6.5, and then 3/4, thinking about our quarters, 3/4 is 75 cents. So that should be 6.75. Alrighty, so now I can add these two up pretty quickly, remembering to line up the decimals and then adding. And so I get 8.75. So that is the total milliliters of green paint that we've made. And so that's going to be our first row answer. So far, so good. And now the second row seems to be a bit more complicated because they only gave us a total of 5. So somewhere the yellow milliliters of paint and the blue milliliters of paint need to add up to equal 5. So I'm just going to make that note in my table that these two combined have to equal 5. Okay, well, how can I figure out the ratio of yellow and blue paint? So I might need to look at something else going on in our table in order to figure out the ratio. So let's pick a different pair of points. Well, they've already given me 3.5 and 5.25. So I can set that up as my ratio, remembering that this is X and this is Y. And so in order to find the ratio, I know that I divide Y over X. So 5.25 over 3.5. And so in order to find that unit rate or to see how much we're going to compare to the yellow and the blue paint is we use division. And so 3.5 going into 5.25, we got a lot of decimal review in this lesson. So if we were stuck today, we're going to refresh our memory. So we never divide by decimals, ever. We never divide by fractions, right? We never divide by pieces of numbers. We have to divide by whole numbers. And so I know that I can do that by moving the decimal one place to the right on the outside to get 35, and one place to the right on the inside because we have to keep everything balanced, right? What we do on one side has to be done to the other. And secretly, we are multiplying each of these numbers by 10 in order to convert this 3.5 into a whole number. Once we have that decimal inside, we're good to go, right? We can continue dividing like normal. And so I see that 35 goes into 52 one time. And then I'm bringing down the 5. And now here I may need to guess and check. So 35 goes into 175, let's say 5 times. Let's guess. With 5 times, 25, 15. Perfect. Right on the head. So I know that 5.25 divided by 3.5 gets me a unit rate of 1.5. So if I actually rewrote that, let me go ahead and move this over here on this side. If I rewrote my unit rate, then I know the amount of blue paint over the amount of yellow paint would be 1.5 milliliters compared to 1 milliliter of yellow paint. In fact, I can actually add that to my table here. So this is my unit rate.